your one-stop shop. Great wrestling. WrestleCopia.com, where you'll find an armload of great wrestling podcasts. Some are weekly, some are not. All of them are great. Ray Russell brings WrestleCopia to you, including his own show, The Wrestling Memory Grenade. There's Regional Wrestling, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, The Puro Wrestling Academy, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, The Other Ship Podcast, The Captain's Corner Podcast, and much, much more. Great hosts, great shows. I guarantee you'll learn something every time you tune in to the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Where do you find all these shows? How about starting it this way? Just log on to WrestleCopia.com. There's nothing else like it anywhere. You again? What can I do for you again? Well, you know me, I'm the money man, chairman of the board, the big guy, the big cheese, the head honcho, the leader. All right. Well, I understand Bob sent me here. He wants me to check out, well, you're going to do a computer AI algorithm or some such to figure out what the new catchphrase for the show should be since, monetization and all that. Well, nobody makes more money than I do. I mean, look what I did. People actually show up to watch guys under 5'2". All right, let's get on with it. All right, running it through the computer right now. Be right back. Well, here's your answer. Here's your new catchphrase for the show. This is it? Just this? That's it. That'll be $100 million gazillion. I think it's fair. All right, here goes. It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Kids love it. Kids? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. My name is Bob Smith. You may remember me. You might remember me if you're older than linoleum. You might remember me from PWI, WCW Magazine, Wrestling's Main Event, Wow, and a bunch of other wrestling titles. Nice to be back with you. It's nice to be back with our co-host. It's tight-ass Joe Puccio. Put another funny name on his studio name. You rapscallion, you. I can't control you.
I tried to get a little rise out of you, but on one of our previous shows, we discussed how I might be referred to as a tight ass. But I figured, why not? I'll go with that today.
Well, next time a pretty lady offers you ice cream, don't say no. I mean, come on, it's crazy. Anyway, we're going to do a little shorter show than usual this time, only because we're old and we have to get to bed early. And we're going to talk about the promotional wars of the past and today. And Joe, you've had your weather eye on what's going on between AEW and the WWE. Now, but before we get started, we're taping this on May 31st, so other things may have happened in the interim, but we're going to talk about what happened up to this point. The promotions are kind of going at it in a subtle way, a way that regular walking around fans may not know about, but the people who are really into wrestling are going, boy, they're going at it tooth and nail. What are they talking about?
So I think what we've seen a lot, especially for whatever reason in the past few months, is programming on against each other when you're talking about WWE and AEW. I know within the next few months, There's a couple of big shows, whether you want to call them pay-per-views in AEW sense, PLEs and WWF speak. But I know that we have WWE doing two shows the same night. You have them doing the Money in the Bank show. You have them doing their cross promotion with AAA, where they're going to be doing two shows at once. That's going to be the same night as when AEW is generally on. I know they're on Saturday nights, AEW, when they do Collision. So that's forcing AEW to take Collision off that night and move it to a Wednesday night right after Dynamite. Basically meaning that you're going to have a 4-hour AEW show on a Wednesday night, which to me is ludicrous. Middle of the week, having 4 straight hours of a regular television show. And look, I make no mistake about it. I am an AEW fan, but who is going to spend 4 hours watching four straight hours of AEW programming? It's WWE too. I wouldn't do it for either promotion.
Who are the people watching the pregame on Peacock? Like they have the opening deal, which is like the pre-show, then the show, then the press conference, and the after show. 5 or 6 hours there too. Somebody must be watching this stuff, or they wouldn't stay on the air that long, right?
You would think so. I don't know. And again, it's not just, I mean, we're specifically talking about WWE, AEW, but it's not just them. TNA that same weekend is doing one of their big shows on the Friday night. MLW is doing a live YouTube show on that Saturday night. So it's just one after another. And if you want to talk about the latest development, is I know July's big WWE AEW shows. The biggest show in AEW US history is going to be All In on July 12th, the Saturday. And now WWE has announced that their NXT Great American Bash is going to be on not only that same day, but the same exact time. And while that might seem not that crazy, being that most shows are going to start around 7, 8 o'clock at night, both of those shows are starting at 3 p.m. So obviously that's done on purpose. AEW puts their show on as an afternoon show. WWE does the same to kind of program it. So I think Tony Khan has been asked about this at one of his recent press conferences, and they specifically asked him, and he just gave sort of he kind of blew it off and said he definitely sees it. He made some type of comment where it's similar to WWF and Turner or Jim Crockett in the 80s, but he said something to the effect of this is going to turn out much different, with a little smirk, basically meaning that they're not going away, whereas WCW and Turner did go away at some point. Now that's to be seen. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I do say, I will say in my opinion, I just think it's kind of petty, especially in this day and age, because we're in an era now where you don't necessarily have to watch things when they're happening, as we know. I mean, you can watch one of the shows live if you want and take a break and go out to dinner and then come home that night and watch the show on Peacock for WWE. Or you can watch it the next day, or you can watch it the next week. It really doesn't matter anymore. You can go to the gym and you can put it on your phone and you can watch it while you do. So, I mean, there's so many different ways to watch these things that I just feel like it's kind of petty. And especially, I want to say in WWE's point of view, I think it's weird because let's be honest, whether you're more of a WWE fan or you're more of an AEW fan, WWE is the way hotter product. They're the ones that are getting more fans, and they're the ones that are more popular right now. So, I mean, what's the point of putting their NXT show head to head against AEW show? Is that really going to hurt them? Probably not, because if you really want to see one of the big AEW shows, you're going to order it either way. Well, putting an NXT premium live event on at the same time is probably not going to stop a fan from ordering it. If they want to order it, they will. So I just think it's kind of it's interesting that we're sort of back in that era that we were back in the I guess starting in the late 80s with the big wars. I don't know. I just think I don't see any end to it.
Well, something just popped in my mind, and I have to spit this out before I forget about it. It also goes to do with the AEW pay-per-views. Did you hear that Triller's in financial trouble?
I did.
And now they're moving their pay-per-views to things like Amazon Prime and other usual streaming type things. Frankly, I say that's cool. I thought Triller was, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was kind of a pain in the butt to begin with, and I thought it was expensive. Maybe this will bring prices down a little bit. I'm not sure. But all I know is that Triller was always one more thing I got to sign up for. Whereas
Triller, I think Triller, I don't think the price changes on any of these platforms. So Triller, when they were doing it, it was $50 for the pay-per-views.
Right.
Amazon Prime did this last pay-per-view Double or Nothing that AEW did. That was also 50.
So nothing changes, right?
So nothing changes. However, one quick thing I'll bring up about that is that the other thing that I know AEW fans have been waiting for is for the pay-per-views to be available on Max, on HBO Max, because that is supposed to be happening at some point this year. And Tony Khan has said that what everyone is looking forward to there is they are going to be cheaper. So if you have a Max subscription and you want to order a pay-per-view, when that technology becomes available, they said there's going to be some discount. What that discount is, I don't know.
Right now, there's no facility to order something on Max. That's what makes this interesting.
Exactly.
I don't think you can order something a la carte on Max. Max just shows stuff. Unless Wonder of Wonders, they will show stuff on Max, and it's just on Max, because that would be a cross-promotional. AEW would make their money from views, and Max would make their money from new subscriptions because AEW is on it.
Hey, look, I would love that because I am somebody that watches their products. So I do have a Max subscription. So, I mean, if that happened, that would be awesome because that would mean I'd essentially get them all for free. I don't think so because I think they've asked him about that before. And from what I understand, I mean, I could be wrong here, but from what I understand, I believe they're not going to be part of the package. It's just going to be offered at a discounted rate. And that's essentially why it's taking so long for this to happen, is because, like you said, they have to sort of they have to make the technology for this to work. And I guess it's a little tougher than we thought.
You know, I really thought the WWE had changed the paradigm by going to Peacock and showing their premium live events there. They're not pay-per-views anymore, premium live events. But now I'm reading things that they may go the pay route again. I just read something yesterday about that. And the pay route may make your eyes bug out in terms of what they may charge for a special event, like a 2-night event. So who knows? All I know is things ain't getting no cheaper, kids. But let's get back to what you were talking about before, the promotional war there. But I just want to get that out. It reminds me of the old days when one of the Clash of the Champions was going to be on TBS.
That's right.
At the same day as a WWF pay-per-view. And I remember specifically, and I remember which one it was. It was Sting Flair, one of the classic matches of all time, maybe the greatest show of all the Clash of the Champions. It did a record rating. And I think a lot of people probably did what I did. Is I VCR'd the WWF and watched the other thing live. So I got to see both of them. However, with today, you know what's sad? You can't do that anymore, really. Or can you do that? Well, that's the thing. I haven't ordered a pay-per-view in 20 years, so I don't know. Can you watch something and DVR another thing? Yes, you can. But that would be on a network. That would be on your streaming service or something like that.
Right.
So I just remember back then, there have been promotion wars ever since the cable wars started. You know, the black Saturday with the WWE taking over the TBS spot and things like that in Georgia. I mean, this stuff has been going on since the early 1980s at this point. I would say that this would all be kind of earth-shattering, but it's not because it all happened before. You know, it's all happened before. They're trying to get a leg up on each other. But I think AEW is taking it more seriously than WWE is because, frankly, and I think you'd agree with this, AEW has got more to lose than WWE does.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, on the flip side, I just don't see, it's one of those things. I mean, I would be interested. It's funny because I'd be interested to see if Vince was still running things, how he would do this, if he would be sort of using, the same tactics that Paul Levesque is doing. I don't know. I mean, getting back to what you said, the Clash of the Champions show, correct me if I'm wrong. That was the first Clash, right? Wasn't Flair Sting the first ever Clash of the Champions, or no?
I wish I could answer that definitively, but I can't.
I feel like it was.
I don't think it was the first, but I could be totally wrong. I should have looked it up before I mentioned it, but
that's fine. I mean, I
remember it was on like a Sunday afternoonish thing.
But if it's the one I was thinking, it was the Clash that Flair had that great match with Sting, and that was the one that made Sting into it started his rise to stardom.
Yeah.
And if I'm thinking correctly, that was 88, and wasn't that the one that WWE put the Royal Rumble against?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one. I think the WWE put the Royal Rumble on USA Network. Yeah, against it. So right, that was exactly counter programming. That's what they were trying to do. But again, I think back then it was such a different time that, like you said, I mean, yes, you could tape things and somewhat, but it was a different era. It was more of something where people really did want to watch it while it was happening. I think now people are more accustomed to watching things on a delay or watching things a few hours later, especially with the time differences now where they do shows out in, other parts of the world and they start in early in the morning. So you kind of have to watch it at your leisure. So it is, as far as WWE having some more to, or AEW having something to lose. Yeah, it's interesting though. I don't know. It brings up another point. I don't know how much money AEW would need to lose before they ever ceased operations, if you know what I mean. I mean, Tony Khan and his family are so wealthy that I don't even know at what point they would ever need to put the promotion under, even if they were losing money. And I don't know what their finances are like. I don't know what AEW is making right now. I don't know if they're turning a profit. I have no idea. But I mean, he's got more money than a lot of other promotions that have started.
One mitigating factor, though, I agree with you with everything you just said, with the exception of this. TNT and TBS want viewers; they want eyeballs, and if they shrink and go away, doesn't matter how much money Tony's got; they'll take them off.
That's a good point.
They'll take them off. I mean, if they can do better with Big Bang Theory reruns, they're going to show the Big Bang Theory runs. That's all there is to it.
And we saw that with Ted Turner, because Ted Turner had so much money and they still couldn't keep it on the air at the end. They were having the issues, and then of course there was the whole buyout and all that. But you're right, because television is still such an important medium. I mean, that's the main thing. You have to have TV. And if you don't have TV, then what do you do? Or at the very least, I mean, I guess you have to have a streaming platform. You have to have some way of putting this on the air.
I agree, but you know what? It's been some time now since we've moved into we'll stream on this service. We'll be on YouTube. We'll be on that. None of the fringy stuff has ever taken a step forward, though, based on that. I mean, we had, where was it that you watched the NWA when they were, I can't remember where the NWA, I'm talking the Billy Corgan NWA, the first year, like 2019, and when it was really good. How did we watch that? Was it YouTube? I believe it was YouTube.
Might have been
right?
YouTube.
They couldn't really grab hold of a wider audience that way, right? Or to do a regular YouTube show, it just doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't capture, and you're watching it on a laptop in a lot of cases, or your phone or things like that. For some reason, TV still rules the roost, even though we are all looking and consuming our media in a different way now all the time. I can't tell you the number of TV shows I watched on my phone and things like that, depending on where I am. Or sports, if I'm out of town, I'll watch it on my cell phone.
Right.
For instance, I have Hulu Plus Live TV, right? That's my streaming service. That's where I get all my television. And when there's a Met game and I happen to be in Las Vegas or something like that, I will watch it on my phone as if I'm at home. So it's like, the stuff is handy, but it's not the main way you do it. You still want to sit down in your front room with your family, maybe in a lot of cases, and watch wrestling on a big screen. So I don't know. I think it's hard to break through the fringes and become mainstream. Like, what grew from YouTube?
Right.
Usually you go down to YouTube. You don't grow up from there, no matter what you're doing. Unless you have a informational show. Like this doctor I watch on YouTube. He's a British guy, and he gives information about, health and stuff like that. He has over 1 million views. But that's still not TV. He'll never get a TV based on that. I rest my case.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a good point. And I think the television stations too, it's like, as far as moving from a fringe to, there's nothing like being on your own station, but it's also depends on the station, because, WWE is on USA, and that's a major cable channel. I mean, USA, everybody knows USA. It's a popular channel. Same thing with AEW now. I mean, it's on TBS and TNT, and those are two huge stations. Everybody knows them. But then you look at a company like TNA, and even though TNA has television, they are currently they're on AXS TV right now, and I'm not even sure if they're still on there, but I think they are, because I know case in point, my cable system.
I think that's right. I think that's
AXS, right. And my cable system, I had AXS up until about a year or two ago, and I have a regular cable service, and they took it off. So now I have no way of watching this on television. The only way I would be able to watch it is if I found it somewhere online. So I think that's a key too, is that, having on one of these major networks is certainly key. And even WWE is on, what am I talking about? They're on USA, but they're also on broadcast. They're on, in New York, they're on Channel 11. On Tuesday nights, their NXT show is on Channel 11. So that's big too, So it definitely, you're right about that. It speaks to that.
People don't want to chase what they want to watch. They just want to flip the TV and have it on. Wrestling is different. I think wrestling, you need a large screen. It's better on a bigger screen. Even if your screen is 26 inches, it's better than watching it on your phone.
Yeah,
it just,
for sure.
It's a wide view type of a thing. It's a horizontal view, wrestling is. And you want to have as much, much depth as you can as a fan. I'm sure. Somebody I worked with 10, 15 years ago, lovely lady I worked with, she gave up her TV and watches everything on her laptop, everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she's a rarity. I mean, I don't know if I could deal with that. She just didn't want to pay for cable and all this other stuff, and she made do with whatever she could get through YouTube and other sources that were free. More power to her, but she's in the minority. I think that.
Was she young? Is she
youngish, probably about 35 years old.
Okay. Because I know that's a habit nowadays. I think with the newer generation of people, I think younger people are more apt to do that.
I think that's true. You're right. You make a good point, because they're always on the run. They're always out doing things.
And they didn't grow up with, like you said, I mean, growing up watching television at night, prime time, watching with your family, 8:00, the big prime time hour where you watch the big shows. They didn't really grow up that way. People now grew up where they're on the run, where they can watch it whenever. It's like, oh, they can put it on their phone. They can go on their tablet, on their laptop, whatever it is. So I think it's just a different way of thinking. And I think that speaks to why so many people are cutting the cord and they don't have cable anymore.
Yeah.
Not having a TV is pretty extreme, but I will say I have heard of a few people that have done that.
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of mind boggling. Like, I can't fathom that.
I will tell you this right now. I think one of my regular guests on the show, or somebody who's been on a couple of times, gave up their TV and uses their computer for everything now.
Yeah.
There's a breed of person that does that.
Yep.
More power to them. If you can get away with it, it's fine.
Sure.
However, this is this promotional war thing is a hard thing for somebody my age to wrap my arms around, because as someone who was once real passionate about seeing every minute of wrestling I can, and I'm not feeling that way anymore over today's product. I mean, instead, I'm the one buying the Savmar various of oldies YouTube channel. I'm the one that's looking at everything Dave Dynasty puts out and Chris P. Lettuce. And frankly, if I miss Thursday night's AEW, whatever, I really don't care. So I can't come to grips with the mores of today's fans and how they consume media, because I know how I consume media. Although I think I've always been on the forefront of the new stuff, I mean, even like I said, in the 1970s, my family had cable in the mid-70s, like around 75, 76. That was early. And I lived in a small town in upstate New York. I think they were one of the first counties in that region to get cable TV. Don't ask me how that happened, because we didn't even have running water until about 1980. So I'm, because I'm almost not serious about that. But in any event, it's funny how things worked out for me in that regard. But again, maybe you're a little younger than I am. Maybe. Well, here's a good question. Do you have wrestling fan friends, and are any of them into the AEW versus WWE wars?
So my wrestling friends, my wrestling circle of friends, I will say the majority of them will generally take AEW over WWE at this point. I think just because of it's a little bit more, I guess you want to say it's a little bit more adult, a little bit more, it's bloodier, it's more exciting in that sense. So yeah, they are into it. But I will say that, look, if it comes down to one or the other, we'll generally watch the AEW show in a general sense. If it's a huge WWE show, like a WrestleMania, something, that would be different. Not that AEW would ever counter them. I think we generally would side with AEW in that sense. And like, for example, if we want to talk in specifics, the July show, AEW All In versus the Great American Bash show, I don't really see how that's going to hurt AEW. It's just not. That's a huge show. It's a stadium show for AEW. It's a show that they've been building towards for a long time. So I just think in a lot of ways it's kind of funny that WWE tries to come across as AEW is not competition. We don't care about them and whatever this and that. But I mean, come on. I mean, why else would they do these things? Is it just to give them the business? Is it just because they can? Like, what is it? I don't know. What's the reasoning? I don't know. Only a few people know that. It's interesting that it's still in 2025. It's still happening today.
But here's another question. Is this all good for the fans? And I put it to you. Yes, it will be. The war will actually be good for the fans in terms of the programming times. And I'll tell you why. Doggone well, the Clash of the Champions on TBS that had Sting versus Flair, they threw out all the stops.
Yep.
They knew it was in competition, and they wanted it to be the thing that you watched, and it was. As I recall, there was like a record rating for that series at that point. It makes the promotions work harder, put on better matches, better feuds, better TV special events. I think it's good for the fans. I say, if these two are going to get into a promotion war and they're serious about it, go to war, guys. Get deep into those trenches, because you know what? It's going to not only pay off for those organizations, it's going to pay off for the fans, and they deserve to have the best shows they can watch.
Oh yeah, and even going further than that, you're talking about back when the first Clash happened. What about 10 years after that, the Monday Night Wars? I mean, that made that both promotions, WCW and WWE, up their game. I mean, they both at that point, if you remember, WWE was in a bad state before the Monday Night Wars. They just weren't that great. They were trying to come up with good characters, and then once Austin came up, once Rock came up, and DX and all those guys, and then you had WCW with the NWO and Goldberg and all these guys, that made for some exciting programming. And then, is it a coincidence that when WCW went under and WWE bought them, there was several years there where once again WWE creatively wasn't that hot. No, they weren't that great. So I think there's always something to be said for competition.
You thought WWE would take off like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
But instead, it's almost like a crash to earth, right? Because it's like, we're the only game in town. We can finally take a breath.
Exactly.
Exactly. If you're pulling out all the stops in a promotional war, you know what this happened to? Happened to the Sheik. Way back when he was having a promotional war. This is true. 1970. Let's go all the way back to the 70s. Now we're in my milieu. Thank you, God. It's the mid 70s, and Dick the Bruiser's Indianapolis-based WWA is at loggerheads with the Sheik in Detroit. They're both trying to promote that same general area, and it was a promotional war. And that's why a lot of times you saw the Sheik's organization have 18 matches. I'm not making this up. 18 matches on a card, and we're all stars, right? Yeah. They're paying all those people. And the Bruiser was like, well, what the heck? So finally, after a while, Bruiser and Sheik, they were running both companies, got together and said, let's stop this. Let's not get cahoots, but let's have matches against each other, and everybody will be interested in it. And they were. The fans came out in droves to see Dick the Bruiser versus Sheik finally after all these years of rancor. But you know what happened? The promotion war ended, and the Sheik started to fade almost instantly. Mm-hmm. His organization started to go downhill almost, because once you reach that plateau and you say, well, no more promotional war, it was back to the Sheik versus Tony Marino for the 800th time or something, or Bobo, right?
Yeah.
Right? It was the same old, same old. That was a big factor in the quick demise of the big time wrestling territory. It's the same thing. You see what I'm saying? In other words, all that heat draws eyeballs. When the heat goes away and stuff becomes kind of rote, that's when people say, I wonder what's on NBC tonight. I wonder if Law and Order's on. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. I mean, wrestling companies, they'll rest on their laurels when they don't have that threat, when they don't have that, sort of someone right on their tail. They probably feel at this point, okay, I can just, I can take it easy now. I don't have to be as creative, or I don't have to think as creatively anymore. And that's just not true. And we see time and time again, you're going back, talking back in the 60s, 70s, talking about the 80s, 90s, and even now in the, 2025. So it's the same old story. And I think it's always going to be this way. Competition is good. I think we know that. Competition is always going to make for a better product, and it's going to make for both companies to really try to put on something, a better product for the fans.
I agree, and I think that's the capper for this. I agree wholeheartedly, and I think people listening would agree too. The competition makes things better. It just does. Even if you have 2 gas stations across the street from each other,
Right.
you know what's going to happen? Prices are going to go down.
Yep.
And you're going to attract people. I rest my case, folks. I mean, how many times you in your town listening out there, you got a gas station on that side of the street, and a gas station over here. Aren't they the cheapest places in town? You bet they are, right? And
That's true.
everybody goes there. Where'd you go? The one on the left? No, they were closed. I went to the one on the right, because they were both cheap. So
Yeah.
all I can say is, yes, bring on the competition. It's good for everybody. But I have one more thing to talk about before we say goodnight here. I want to look at, again, go back through history, the Four Horsemen, right? The factions, we'll call them. The Four Horsemen, right? Bret Hart's faction in the WWE. Every faction here, faction there. 3 or 4 guys, all getting together, and they're a group. The Memphis Mafia with Eddie Gilbert, or the Stud Stable with Robert Fuller. No matter what the organization is, you will have a team up of a bunch of people. The faction. Recently in WWE, they put together a new faction, Paul Heyman's bunch of Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and now you also have a never-ending Bloodline-ish story where they just brought in Jeff Cobb. All it means is there's another guy to interfere in a match, and it's going to be a DQ or an unsatisfying finish. It's the same thing no matter who it is. I've had enough of the factions for a lifetime. I want to see clean finishes in my matches. I'm old school. I don't mind the occasional DQ, but there's the problem. Nobody gets disqualified anymore. They practically do 3-on-1s in the full sight of the referees, and they don't call anything on it.
Yeah.
Or a guy's up on the ring apron passing something to somebody else. I would say there's not enough DQs if there's that much interference. I am just tired of all the, blatant cheating. Now every match in WWE, somebody's going to interfere. It seems like every single match, if not 80% of them. I'm just tired of the factions. Ooh, scary. All these big guys together. Ooh, scary. There's a new Samoan wrestler. Or there's a new, I don't even know what's going on with Roman Reigns right now. All I know is he'll have a faction again, too. Maybe he'll get the other 2 Usos back together with him or something. All I know is I'm tired of it all. We've seen it. We've been there. We've done that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned factions. I was a big fan of when WWE did the factions in the late 90s, like you mentioned the Hart Foundation, when it was Brett and Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart and Brian Pillman and all those guys. And then you had the Nation of Domination and you had DX. I was really into it at that point. I really thought they did a good job with them. They made it really exciting. Now it's getting a little lame. As far as the interference goes and the disqualifications, man, there's no end in sight for that. I mean, that's just the way of the business now, right? It's just every match is going to have an interference. Every match is going to, it's going to, end in a no contest, or this guy really didn't beat this guy. It's just, I don't see how they're ever going to move away from that. They've gotten so deep into that it would almost have to be like a complete reset for them to stop doing that. So you're right about that.
I never give AEW any credit, but I'm about to. There's a lot less of that in AEW. It's still there, but I think there's less in AEW.
Yeah,
I do. And if the interference, if somebody's disqualified, it's usually due to something in ring as opposed to somebody running in. I'm not saying it doesn't happen there, but I just feel that it's rampant in WWE. How many times? Last night there was a SmackDown on, and the very first segment had a run-in in it, and then another run-in in it. I mean, it was like, it's even in interview segments now. You can't even say a few words and leave when everybody applauds. No, something surprising or somebody's music will start to play, and that's what I hate about run-ins most of all. 2 guys are beating up another guy. Solo Sikoa and Jeff Cobb are beating somebody up, and then music starts playing. No, I'm not even finished. Music starts playing, and then they stop beating the guy up and face the rampway.
Yeah, they're waiting. Yeah.
Why did you stop beating the guy up?
Yeah, it's almost like the music has some type of weird
magic
effect
charm.
on them. Yeah, magic effect where they can't fight anymore.
And if the 2 guys in the ring are looking down the room going, "Who could this be?" Don't you watch your own program? You know whose music that is?
Yeah.
It's so Dumb.
Man, don't get me started on last night's SmackDown. Not to go on a rant on that, but I mentioned this before, how I cannot watch those shows live because it's a 3-hour show and it's ridiculous. But, I have it on my DVR every week. This morning when I woke up, made some coffee, went through it, got through 3-hour SmackDown in about an hour because, I fast forwarded through all the entrances, all the hyping of the next show, all the commercials, everything. The last segment was an interaction with Cena, Rhodes, and Uso, and Logan Paul, and all these guys. And as soon as Uso came down, I was like, "Oh, here we go!" And I just hit that fast forward, and and it just went on. And how funny is it that he got in the ring, Uso? He gets them on the mic, and all of a sudden he goes, "One more time." And he got up and the music starts playing again and he's waving his arms back and forth. And I was like, oh, fast forward. And I went and hit the fast forward button again. And I got through another 5 minutes. It's so frustrating that they waste so much time with this stuff. It's like, get on with it already, man.
But here's the funny thing. And let me ask you, this is a little bit off topic, but not really. Here comes Jay, right? He's coming through the crowd, and he invariably these days will pull a little kid to do that arm thing, and everybody's chanting. So he makes it down into the ring and continues to do the arm thing off the turnbuckle, so everybody can join in. And then he stops, and they're still cheering wildly, and they go one more time, and they do it one more time, at least one more time. My question to you is, how do those people understand the words to that song? I can't pick out a single syllable of what they're saying, but they're all singing it along. Can you figure out what it is? Could you join in if you wanted to?
I cannot.
The same goes for the Cody Rhodes song and everybody else. They're all singing along verbally, the lyrics. I hear an entire crowd singing. I still don't understand the words. Is it just me?
Point. No, it's a good point. I don't know half of it either. I don't know how they know it. If they just, I don't know. I really don't know how they know. Unless they're just mumbling. They're just like not singing the right word.
With CM Punk, Cult of Personality, again, that was a major hit record, right? So, yeah. But everything else, they're singing along to whatever the lyrics are. Randy Orton too. I mean, that was a little easier. I understand some of that. I don't understand the non-chorus part, or why anybody would want to learn it. I as a music guy, listen, they do a great job. They do, in terms of the music itself, it's creative. It matches the personalities and what. But I'll go along with what Brian R. Solomon once said about the entrances of the wrestlers too. They're choreographed. Like, you'll stomp on a certain note or passage in the thing, and the fireworks will go off when you stomp, or somebody will make a hand gesture and something else will happen. It's so unrealistic. It's so corny. Yeah. I mean, it's like selling a skillet full of steak juice. The juice, but no steak.
Yeah.
It's beyond the sizzle. It's the gristle. I don't know what to say. We are so Pavlovian as an audience in America. I don't know what to say, right? They go along with everything they do. And I'm like, aren't we supposed to be watching wrestling matches? One of these days I'm getting my stopwatch out and I'm going to tape or watch a 3-hour show, be it SmackDown or Raw. And I'm going to time every match. We're going to find out in 3 hours how much time is actually spent from bell to bell. And I'll bet it'll make your wig fly off. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. 100%. I'm telling you. I mean, from somebody that DVRs it and watches it the next day, it's absolutely amazing that in a 3-hour broadcast, there is actually so little wrestling. And that's what's in the name, right? Wrestling. There's so little of it. It's astounding. It really is. And not just on television, on the pay-per-views too, on the premium live events, whatever it is. Those are even worse because they do all the video packages and the hurrah and all the bells and whistles and everything. It's the same for that. It's really, really crazy. And that's why, again, I've gotten to the point where I cannot watch it while it's on. I just have to watch it on delay. There's no other way.
I'll leave you with this question. Of all the ring introductions to take the longest, which one irks you the most? I have a choice. Do you have one that you watch? Maybe it's Jey Uso you're talking about?
I mean, that's my obvious answer. I mean, that's the one I'm thinking of offhand. His is the one that annoys me just because it never ends because of the eating. So I don't know. I think I would probably go Uso.
Me, I'm sticking with Roman Reigns. It seems to go on forever.
That one's long too.
The slow song, he doesn't even walk to the ring. He's like one step, another step, stare around at the audience, look around, grimace, take another few steps. He's not
That's fair.
intermingling with everybody. I don't know how he's going to do it now that Heyman's out of the picture, but
That's
we
fair.
long for the old days. Folks, I'll tell you this right now. I personally long for the old days when it was WWF Championship Wrestling and Joe McHugh was standing in the middle of the ring in his ill-fitting suit. The bell rings. Ding, 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 ding. Ladies and gentlemen, this following match has a 10-minute time limit, and all 4 participants are in the ring. Weighing 609 pounds combined from parts unknown, the Moondogs. And here's their manager, that Captain Lou Albano. Ooh. Over here from Venice, Italy, 245 pounds, Tony Parisi. Yay. And his partner from Venice, Italy, at 256 pounds, Louis Cerdan. Yay. Give me that 10 times out of 10, man. I don't need the wrapper. I need the candy bar, right? I don't want the wrapper, right? The wrapper is just a colorful sales pitch. There's that Snicker bar sitting there. It's delicious. Can't wait to eat it, right? You like Snickers, right? So you wrap, but you don't want to eat the wrapper. They're making us eat the wrapper today. That is a perfect analogy.
That's a good analogy.
You're going to have to eat this wrapper for 10 minutes before you get that nougat and that delicious peanuts.
Yep.
By the way, a long time ago, they had the Mars bar came from England to the United States, right? There was a Mars bar. It was essentially a Snickers with almonds, okay? Delicious. Oh, my favorite candy bar. But then I noticed it went away, but it was replaced by the Snickers almond bar. There's 3 Snickers almond bars now. There's regular Snickers with peanuts, just called Snickers. Then there's the Snickers with almonds bar, and now there's this Snickers with pecan bar. You see the commercials for it.
Okay.
Wrestling. I put it to you, my friend. There is a plot against the Snickers almond bar. It's never been advertised, but they bring out this weak sister pecan bar, right? I don't even care if it's good. My favorite is the almond bar. They've never advertised it. They never even told people that they were replacing the Mars bar with the Snickers bar. I had to find it out by accident. So I put it to you. There is a stigma. I think there's an organized plot against the Snickers almond bar. I will get to the bottom of this, as well as I will get to the other thing that I'm worried about in snack foods are how's New York potato chips actually made in New York? It's another mystery of mine I need to get to the bottom to. This is it. I'm Bob Smith, your crusading reporter here on the Outdated Snack Hour.
There you go. There's some investigations that
that's right
have to be conducted.
But one thing you don't need to investigate is the quality and fun you will receive at GenerationXwire.com, which is the Joe Puccio-led website all about esoteric entertainment with a great array of writers and a great array of guests or I should say interview subjects. Tremendous job, Joe. I'm glad things are going so well in that regard.
Thanks so much. It's doing really well. The latest stories we have up there, one of our great writers, JC Correa, he's doing a Gene Hackman retrospective where every month or so he's going to review a classic Hackman movie. He did No Way Out a month or so ago, and then he just did one on Get Shorty, which, Hackman, Travolta, Danny DeVito. So that's one to seek out. He also did a review on the original Naked Gun movie, which is one of the funniest movies ever. I just spoke with an actor named Casey Ellison, a young child actor on shows like Mr. Belvedere, Punky Brewster back in the 80s. So that was a lot of fun, being able to talk to him and catch up with him, what he's doing. So that one's up there as well. And we have a lot more coming. So, and yes, we will have some more wrestling, wrestling content on there as well. But again, like you said, we try to keep it fluid, we try to make it eclectic. We try to have a lot of different things, but more wrestling will certainly be on the way.
Well, I know you have to run, and I want to thank you once again for being here. I will be back after this next commercial announcement, which ironically is also for GenerationXwire.com. You think it's helping? You think people are coming to your site based on your appearances here?
From the metrics, I do believe that it's certainly a help. Just from the numbers I get, I think, especially with the age of a lot of the listeners who are into the stuff that we're into. So I really think it's perfect, and I think it's helped a lot.
I want you to know something too. Conversely, since you joined the show on a regular basis, there's two ways for me to look at the ratings: the actual ratings, the Apple Podcast ratings, and also just general downloads. Dude, you can't compare the last 2.5 months to anything we've ever done before in terms of people listening, actual numbers. It's incredible. And so I want to thank you for your contributions because things have been going really doggone good. I mean, when I started it, 2.5, almost 3 years ago now, I didn't know what to expect in terms of developing a fan base. And I want to thank everybody who listens. And I want to thank you because, the comments I'm getting about you are all pleasant and wonderful too. So I think the show's better than it's ever been. And a lot of that's got to do with you, my friend. It really does.
That's very kind of you. I appreciate you saying that. And I have a blast doing this every week. So thank you as well for giving me the opportunity.
No sweat. And you'll also hear Joe on hopefully some future entertainment hours as well. I think we have a couple concepts for you, and we'll get back to that as soon as we can. So give me a few minutes, folks, or it's actually 49 seconds, and I'll be right back with a wrap up right after this. Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with the elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today. Well, there's another one in the books. We hope you enjoyed it. I want to make a brief note for all of you. This show was scheduled to air, and I'm pretty sure it did because you're listening to it on June 20th. Next week, we're going to have a show with our old friend Mike Leotis. We're going to talk about a wrestling territory we haven't hit yet on the show, so stay tuned for that. And July 4th, Dave Dynasty is going to say a few words. Talk about what he's up to, our friend who is the king of the WWA historians, and on top of it, has so many things going on. You're going to want to find out about that too. But after that, on July 11th, I'm taking a vacation week, and I'm not going to have a show that week. I really need to take a week off. Between this and the other show, I have been running myself ragged, as well as my job that still exists for now in sports media, and I'm doing 3 jobs. So what I'm going to do is just take that 1 week off as a vacation week. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. I have to. I'm going to collapse. So that's the story with that. I just want to let you know that no show on the 11th. We'll be right back on the 18th with more fun and frivolity. Write to us at outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. All of our shows are there at the press of a button, bang. You can also find our shows on WrestleCopia.com, as well as every podcast app that's out there that I can think of. Seriously. Also on our website, which is outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com, you can find out everything about the Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club. We're going to have a meeting soon, hopefully, via a Zoom-style software. And you can be part of that if you join our club. It's all the information is available right on the website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. For as little as $3 a month, you can help perpetuate the ongoing adventures of this podcast and our sister podcast, the Outdated Entertainment Hour. We got some cool stuff coming up with all your favorite guests. Be prepared for that. I think I'm going to mosey on now. Also, find me on Facebook. You can also, I'm just Bob Smith, the one that sings with BB King. I'm also on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads for some unknown reason. I barely look at that thing, and it barely looks at me. But there you go. The factions and all that other stuff we talked about tonight, we hope you really enjoyed it. The show's been doing just fine. We have all of you to thank for that. If you do listen to us on your favorite podcast app, please subscribe. It really does help. It really does. That's all we ask. Keep listening. Tell a friend and subscribe if you can. My name is Bob Smith. This is the Outdated Wrestling Hour, bringing you back, as Mick Foley would say, into the old days. And like Ringo Starr would say, or still says, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Man, Peace and love to everybody.